What we're going to work on now is I'm going to show you a couple ways to condition your horse to build his confidence and his courage. And one way I like to do it is I keep a piece of plywood here in my round pen, and I work on this, and what it does, it's nice to get a horse conditioned to where he'll get up on a trailer, where, you know, a lot of horses really have trouble trailering. And I don't think you should teach your horse to trailer on the trailer. I think you ought to do it out here somewhere. And what I'd like to do is show you, Brandon, if you come up here and get a close-up on this piece of plywood. This is just an old piece of plywood I picked up somewhere, and I put it along the edge of the pen, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to introduce him to this, and when he steps on this plywood, that gives him a hollow wood feeling under his feet. So, you know, when he steps on the trailer and he feels that trailer under his feet, it doesn't alarm him, okay? So what I don't want to do is get this plywood out where I got to chase him around the plywood in the middle of the pen. So I'm going to put it along the edge like this. And then I'm going to take the plywood and I'm going to pull it this direction and pull it away from the edge like that. I'm about 2 feet from the edge. But notice how I've got it in a V shape. So after we've got him conditioned to where he'll lunge softly and correctly, because you don't want to do this unless you've prepared him for this. So you've got to watch our earlier videos on how to prepare your horse to lunge like this, okay? To work and respond, and you can drive him forward. If you can't drive him forward softly like this, don't try to do that, because you're just going to get yourself in a mess. So I'm going to bring my horse along the edge like this. I'm just going to let him come between that and the pen. And I'm going to turn him. Like I've said before, Petey makes this all look easy. He's been around a long time and he knows how to do all this. But, you know, I want you to see what a relaxed horse looks like when you do this. This is where we want to end up. This is not where we start, okay? So then, as he gets along like that better, I'm going to come over here. Back out, Petey. Back up. And I'm going to pull it closer, okay? Walk him over it. But you hear him hitting that wood? It sounds like a trailer when you step up on it. Walk him over it. And if he shows any resistance or brace, that's okay. I like that. Think about what you're doing. Look at it. Put your feet down where they're supposed to go. Sometimes you'll get horses, when you get to doing this, he'll put his front feet on there, but then he'll want to jump over it. Well, you got to keep doing this until he touches that with all 4 feet and he walks across it. I don't want him to trot across it. I don't want him to rush across it. I want him to go across it just like this. See? Well, like with this horse, that all started when he was a baby. My son-in-law, Jordan, started this horse for us here at the farm and did a great job. And my daughter Tiffany worked with this horse, and you know, he never had a bad day. He never had a bad experience. But that's how you end up like this. You know, he's probably 8 or 10 years old now, but it started out as a baby working on this type of thing. So when you want to work your colts, your yearlings and things, these are very good things to work on. Like all my yearlings out in the pasture and 2-year-olds, I've already had them in here. I've taken rainy days or days that was too cold or whatever to do other things, and I've just come in here with those babies. And you know what's interesting is, one day doing this, I can turn them out for 6 months, bring them back, and they pick up right where we left off if we leave on a good note. Okay? Very interesting. So now we're going to take our plywood like this, long ways, And we're going to walk him across it just like he's getting on a trailer, okay? I'm going to cast him up in that trailer just like this, so I don't have to walk up in there with him. Come on. So when I go out to the obstacle course and he has to put his feet in a tire, or he's got to step on something, or a teeter bridge, well, let's think about how this works. How is he going to walk on the teeter bridge, or how is he going to walk in a tire if he won't walk on that simple little 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch piece of plywood, okay? So now I stop. Woo, woo. Key point, if you're going to rest your horse, let him rest on the plywood. Don't stand him out there, stand him right here. If he's a horse that's apprehensive about this, you let him rest right next to or on top of the obstacle that he is resisting. It's amazing how that works. I did this with a mule one time, and I would only let that mule rest on top of the plywood. Well, as you would know, my phone rang and I'm standing over there talking on the phone. Next thing I know, I looked over and there's the mule standing on the piece of plywood that she knew that was the only place she was allowed to rest. So I tell that story all the time, but it's the truth that, you know, you do this enough and you work with these horses or mules enough, it's amazing what they'll teach you. They're a lot smarter than we give them credit, okay? So now what I'm going to do, I'll put my flag up, and I'm going to act like I'm loading him on the trailer. Like this. And I'm going to stop. I'm going to back him off the trailer. Okay? I'll walk him on the trailer. Come on, Petey. This works like a charm. Ooh. So I'm going to pretend that this plywood's my trailer. So now I'm going to shut the gate on him. Okay? Move over, Petey. Move over. There. Now I'm going to back him off. I'm going to let him rest. If your horse will not walk on that piece of plywood, chances are he will not get on a trailer. If he won't walk on that piece of plywood, don't even go out to the teeter bridge. You're wasting your time. Come in here and get him to where he'll cross this, and I can lead him across there with ounces. Softness. It's like that. If I have to pull him across there, or if I have to tug on him, or if he stops and gives me brace, well, he's not being bullheaded. He just tells me that his brain isn't quite connected yet. So anytime he goes like that and pulls back and doesn't want to come, well, that tells the story right there. He's got a tough mind. He's giving you brace. So what that tells us is, when he does that, no matter what you're doing, when he does that, he's giving you resistance. He's giving you no. So as we move along here in our schooling, you'll see that it's not about plywood and it's not about obstacles. It's not about leg yields. It's about all these different things go together to say yes, 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 yes. No is not part of his vocabulary. I don't want him to even think about the word no. I want him to think yes. People ask me all the time, "Oh, Ted, your horses jump awesome. Wow, how do you teach them to jump?" I don't teach them to jump, ma'am. I teach him not to resist. And then if I teach him not to resist, he'll jump whatever gets ahead of him. So if I go to get on a trailer, or I go to jump over a jump, or if I go to cross a creek, or if I go to cross the road, or no matter what I do, all he knows how to do is say yes. Well, he can't learn to say yes if I'm letting him say no half the time. But I got to be careful what I ask him, because if I ask him more than he's able to do or willing to do at that moment, he's going to learn to say no. So that's why I got to start out small like this. And you'll notice when we go out and start working on the obstacles, we start out small. We don't start out stepping up on the big block. We start out stepping on things like that. So, but you got to think that way. You know, you got to think like he's thinking there. And we got to give him an opportunity to think. If you give him an opportunity to think, you're going places. Very good. Thank you.